Hello everyone, this is your instructor Nora Villarreal, and today we're going to talk about using NoodleTools. So I'm starting on IVCC's homepage, and I'm going to head to our libraries page, because what NoodleTools does is gives us help with citing our sources. So we're going to start at the library, we're going to look over in the left-hand menu here, and we're going to click on Citing Your Sources. Now notice that in about the center of the page here, we have a heading that says NoodleBib Citation Generator, and there are many tools that are offered along with it. So today we're going to start by logging into NoodleBib, but in case you ever need some extra help or you get lost in a step, you can always come back here to this page on the library site for extra help. So notice we have documents about creating an account, how to create a project, how to add citations, and some other things as well. So today we're going to get started with creating our accounts. Now, if you already have an ID for NoodleBib, perhaps from another class, you can go ahead and use it to log in. Most of you are going to need to click Create a Personal ID right here. So you're a student, of course. Expected year of graduation, you can just put whatever in you think. You're not going to be held to that in any way, so it really doesn't matter what you choose. You're going to choose your personal ID and password here, and please note that no one at IVCC has the ability to reset your password in NoodleTools, so it's really important that you choose something you're going to remember, and it's a good idea to write it down as well. Okay, so down here is some information about easy login retrieval, just some hints in case you ever need to recover your account. So you can go ahead and create your account. Now I already have mine, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. And the first screen I'm going to see is a list of all the projects that I have created in NoodleTools. So you'll notice that I have quite a few because, of course, when I use this with my face-to-face classes, I just create projects in class as we discuss it. But basically what you're seeing here is a list of all the projects that I've created. So one of the really cool things that NoodleTools does is it is a citation generator. So back in the day when we had to cite sources, back when I was in school, we would have to look up the formula, say for citing a work from a database, and then we'd have to go back to our computer and sort of keep consulting it back and forth as we figured out the order of what we needed to input. But what NoodleTools does is it basically takes all the hard work out of that. So I just want to give you a quick demo of how to use it today. So the first thing you'll need to do is over on the right hand side, create a new project for whatever you're working on. So keep in mind you can use NoodleTools for any class you're in. You might use it for history, you might use it for psychology, anything at all that you need to use sources for, this is a good resource. So we're in English class right now, so we're going to choose MLA as our citation style. And really important also to choose advanced right here. Starter and junior are more for maybe kids that are in grade school or high school. Since we're in college, we want to make sure we choose advanced. And then right here, you'll provide a description for your project. So something that's going to let you know what it is you're working on. So let's say, for example, I'm working on my annotated bibliography for my English class. I'm going to title it with that. Notice I already have a misspelling here that it's picking up for me, so I'm going to go ahead and correct that. So now I'm in the dashboard of my project. Now you'll notice if you kind of look around that there's all sorts of cool things you can do. You could input a thesis statement for an essay that you're working on. You can add a research question. You even have the ability to share documents with groups. Again, today we're just going to focus on one aspect though, which is creating our works cited pages. So notice under here, under components, it says works cited. That's where we're going to head to create our entries. Now NoodleTools is actually pretty simple. It's fairly intuitive. The first thing you need to do is decide what type of source it is that you're citing, so you might need to look at it to sort of figure it out. And let's say, for example, that you're going to cite a book. We're going to choose book, and then we'll click Create Citation. And the next screen is just sort of like the, are you sure that's the type of source that you're using? And you can sort of double check if you need to, but we're sure it's a book, so we can go ahead and continue. And notice you can hide that screen if you don't want to see it in the future. And notice what's happened now. NoodleTools has created a form where basically all we have to do is input our information. So there's a few different ways to do it. You can notice here you could try to copy and paste one in, or you could import the ISBN number. I think it's usually a better idea just to go ahead and put the information in the boxes down here. That's the best way to go about it. So notice if I did choose the wrong type of source that I was citing, I have the ability to quickly jump to something else. But this is correct. This is a book that I read in print, so I'm on the right tab here. And again, I just go in and fill in the boxes. And notice too that when I click one of these boxes, I get a helping little pop-up box here that explains and gives you some more information. So if there's ever anything you're not sure of, just click into a box, read the little helpful guide that pops up over here, and a lot of times that will give you some good information. So keep in mind that sometimes in NoodleTools you're going to leave boxes blank, and that is 100% okay. So for example, I would probably know who the author of my book is. Let's say I'm citing a book by Stephen King, and I could go ahead and put his name in here. But it wasn't a multi-volume work, so if I needed to leave that blank, I could go ahead and do that. Okay, so here's the title of the book. We'll say it's On Writing, which is a really great writing resource book, by the way, if you're interested in it. And again, this is not a multi-volume set, so I'm just going to leave that box blank. Okay, so the publisher for this guy was Scribner, and the publication city was New York. It was published in 2010. This isn't accurate, by the way. I'm just sort of making this up as we go. And again, there's no edition, there's no series, so it's okay for me to leave all this stuff blank. If you need to add an annotation, like for example, if you're working on an annotated bibliography, this is the space to do so. Okay, you can just type it right in here. You'll want to make sure that you use a spell checker, maybe type it in Word and spell check it and then paste it over here to make sure that it's all correct. And then just go ahead and click Submit. And again, a lot of you might leave that annotation box blank, but if you're working in an annotated bibliography, you would need to go ahead and check it. Now, another more complicated type of citation might be something that comes from, for example, from a database. So I'm going to pretend that I've been doing a little bit of research about the right to die, and that I'm using the Issues and Controversies database. It's called Facts on File, Introversies and Controversies. This is the name of the database up here. And I'm looking at an article titled Right to Die. And let's take a quick look at how we would cite something like this in NoodleTools. Because again, this one might be just a little bit more complicated than citing a simple book. So again, the first thing I need to do is choose what type of citation I'm creating. And in this case, it's a database. So I'm going to go ahead and click Database, and then click Create Citation. And then this is just going to involve some sort of bouncing back and forth between the article that I have found and inputting my information. So for this type of source, it might be, you know, depending on what you're looking at, it could be something that was published in a journal that's very common, or maybe in a magazine or newsletter. In this case, this was something that was actually written for this specific database. So this is original content. So that's what I'm going to choose here. And again, you'll just need to think about your own source and what you're looking at. And the first thing I need to put in is the name of the database. And again, the name of this database was Issues and Controversies. Oh, and you want to make sure again you spell it correctly. Let's see here, there we go. Now again, if I were to look here, I don't have a database accession number. Oops, sorry, wrong screen. So that's a box that I can leave blank when I'm filling this in. Next, we want to find the database publisher or vendor. And again, hopefully you've looked around your source a little bit ahead of time before you're trying to create your citation for it. So as I was looking around my source, I found out that Infobase was the name of the publisher. So I'm going to go ahead and input that here. This is the date that I accessed it today, so I'm going to leave this as is. And then again, I'm going to come back to my source and see if I can find when it was originally published. And right here, I see my issue date of June 10th, 2013. So I'm going to put that date in right here. And this next box is a good example of a helper box. So you have a place for the URL, but notice that it says the MLA handbook does not require it. So unless your instructor tells you otherwise, you should leave this box blank. And again, that's for MLA style. So if we had some other information, we would add it here, but we don't know any of the author's names. We do know the article title, and again, if I look back here, my article title is Right to Die. It's actually the short guy right here. It's not the longer version underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and put Right to Die for my article title. And again, this specific article doesn't have a particular author. We don't know who wrote this. I've already looked around. I looked at the top and at the bottom. And this was just probably written possibly by a group of people for this database, but we don't know who it is. So we can leave that box blank. Okay. Now again, if I needed to annotate the source, this is the space where I would do so. All right. If you don't need to annotate it, again, you'll just leave that blank. You'll click Submit. It will take you back to sort of the main project page that you started from. and you'll see your 2 entries right here. So again, you'll just keep coming back up here to create a citation for every source that you use. So for each source that you find, you'll just jump into your project, you'll choose what type of source it is, and then you'll go through and plug your information into some boxes. It's pretty cool, it's pretty easy. So one last step I wanted to show you was how to get this into Microsoft Word. So of course, some of you are probably already noticing you can just copy and paste, that would be one way to do it. And one thing I forgot to point out, so I'll just quickly mention, is that notice over here you can always go in and edit your entry. So like if I notice that there was a misspelled word over here, or like for example right here I noticed I accidentally included that annotation, which I shouldn't have, all I need to do is click edit and I can go back in and update anything that I would need to. Okay, so getting back to getting this into Word. So again, instead of copying and pasting, you can do that, but it's not going to have great format for you, right? When you put it in, and you'll have to play with it a lot. It's much easier to just come right here, choose Print Export to Word, and depending on your computer's security settings, you might have to there might be a yellow drop-down bar that appears right here where you have to sort of click OK, that I trust this file and that it's not going to harm my computer in any way. So what you'll see once your Microsoft Word program opens is that you have a perfectly formatted works cited page. You'll notice, I'm going to get rid of that annotation right there. You'll notice that it's correctly double-spaced. It's been alphabetized. If the citations were to continue on after one line, it would retain that correct hanging indent format. So it's just, I think, a lot simpler to do this than to try to copy and paste. So again, when you're back at your project, when you're finished with it, all you'll do is choose Print Export to Word, and it'll pop it right in there for you. So the next time you log in, you can just head back to your projects page, and you'll see here's my annotated bibliography project, and if I need to edit it or maybe add some more citations or just revisit it, all I need to do is click the title, head under the components bar and choose the works cited page, and get back to work. So as I'm sure you noticed, NoodleTools offers a lot of cool other things that you can do with it. This quick intro was just really to show you how to create an account, how to create a project, and then how to start adding citations and getting it into Word when you're done. So if you have any questions, you can ask your instructor or a librarian at IVCC, and I hope you found this useful. Thanks.